And welcome back for another episode of the High Altitude Training Institute. I'm Greg Riverdio, and this is the beginner's training plan for the half marathon. And right now we are in week 17. So if you followed us from the beginning, this is week 17. This is actually the last week of phase 1. So this is the last week of building up mileage for your race. Now, if you haven't seen the introduction video, please go ahead and watch this. This will give you a lot of good information about which training week should you start with, what pace should you be running these workouts at, and also it will give you some information about which training plan you should be choosing. We have 3 different ones: beginners, intermediate, and advanced. This is the beginner's plan, and we're in week 17, which is the 4th week of training. This means that in 17 weeks will be your race. Now this week, as I said, we will be continuing to build mileage. Very important to get a good base of mileage before we start doing workouts, which will be next week when we start phase 2. Now by now, you've done 3 weeks of training, hopefully, if you've followed the entire program, and you should start to feel pretty good about running. Now, every week I want to talk about a different topic that can be helpful for you as a new runner. And this week I want to talk about the equipment that you should be getting on top of a good pair of shoes, which is what we talked about last week. A lot of people go pretty crazy with the equipment. Personally, I like to run very light, but I'll give you a quick overview of my favorite equipment and how I use it. The first thing is a good pair of shorts. Good pair of shorts means what? It means a pair of shorts that's going to breathe and also that's not going to chafe. If your shorts start to chafe, then it's going to hurt in the long run, which is not a good thing. So find something that works for you. Some people like the very short shorts. I do, but I also have pairs of shorts that are a little bit longer. You want something that's going to be lightweight and that's going to breathe so that you don't get too hot underneath. Now, the next thing is a good shirt, and whether you're male or female, it doesn't matter. You need to find something that's very comfortable for you to run in. Personally, I like the technical t-shirts. Cotton is out of the question. Cotton is going to get hot. It's going to absorb the humidity, the sweat, the heat, everything. Just not a good idea to run in cotton. So invest in a good shirt. If you do a lot of races, you'll get race shirts that are technical shirts. And I have buckets and buckets of shirts that I use all the time. And it's very important to find something that's comfortable. Now, find something that doesn't chafe either. You can chafe your nipples, which is not a good thing, or you can chafe other body parts, your armpit, for example. So find something that works for you. The next thing is a good pair of socks, which is going to go with the pair of shoes that we talked about last week. A good pair of socks is something that's going to last for a while and something that's not going to create blisters by creating friction. So again, find something that works for you. Find a brand that works for you, and just buy a whole bunch of them, and then just keep using them until there's a hole in them. When there's a hole, just throw them away, and then move to a new pair of socks. The next piece of equipment that I want to talk about is a good handheld. Now, a handheld is going to be a water bottle that you're going to carry with you when you go run. Some people like handhelds, and some people like backpacks. Some people like having a vest, and they put their water bottle in it. Now, it's really going to depend on what you want to use for the race or what you're comfortable with. Personally, I like the backpack if I have to carry quite a few things and I have to go for a very long distance. But for the short distance, I like a handheld. And so the handheld, I'm going to be able to squeeze. There's a little pocket where I can actually put my gels or put my nutrition in. Some people like having a belt. The belts are very popular with new runners, and so it's something that you may want to look into. Go to your local running shop and try them on. See what fits, see what moves around. Sometimes the belt for me just moves a little too much. I just don't like it. And sometimes the backpack moves a little too much. So that's why the handheld is actually really good. The next 2 things I want to talk about is some kind of sun protection, a hat and or sunglasses. I cannot go outside without my sunglasses, and I always like having a hat. The hat does 2 things for me. It keeps the sun from getting into my eyes, and it also keeps the sun from hitting my face. But the other thing that it does too is it protects my head from sunlight, and it also helps me with the sweat. That's a big thing. If you sweat, then the hat is going to absorb it, and it's not going to get into your eyes. So Look for these, find something that works for you. You don't have to wear a hat. I have a lot of friends that are runners and don't wear hats, and that's fine. Visors is another option as well that you can look into. And the last thing that I want to talk about in terms of equipment is a GPS watch. A GPS watch may seem like something that you don't need as a beginner, but eventually is something that you're going to be needing in the long run, I think. There are two ways that you can track your mileage. And if you're not tracking your mileage and you're starting to get serious about this, I highly recommend that you do. This will give you an idea of progress. It'll give you an idea of how you used to run. I actually wish that I had kept track of my mileage when I first started running so I can see the progress that I've made. Two ways to keep your mileage is to keep track of your mileage, is to get a GPS watch, or is to get an app on your phone, such as Strava, Garmin, MapMyRun. There's a lot of different ones. Envato, I think, is one of them. Pick something that works for you. I like the watch personally. It's all in one place. It's GPS. I don't have to carry my phone with you, which can be bulky. But again, some people like to have the phone with them just in case of an emergency. So figure out something that works for you and go with it. That's it. That's all the tips I have for you in terms of equipment. Now let's go take a look at the training plan for this week. This is week 17, and we are 4 weeks into it out of 20 if you've done all the training weeks with us. And this week we are slowing down on the mileage, going down back to 16. The reason is I like to do training plans that go up for 3 weeks and then down for the 4th week. You need your body to recover a little bit once you get to the 4th week. So this is what we'll do this week. So you notice that a few of the easy runs are changed from 3 miles to 2.5 miles, and we're keeping our long run on Sunday to 5 miles. This is the last week of phase 1, and next week we will be starting in phase 2. As always, like, subscribe, share it with your friends. And if you want more information about our training plans and our coaching, please visit www.altitude.run and you'll find all the information about the High Altitude Training Institute. Have a great week of running, and we'll see you next week for week 16 and phase 2.